this video, I'll be playing Pokemon LeafGreen using only a Squirtle. My adventure begins by getting misgendered by Professor Oak. I tell him my name and his grandson's name, and then I pick my best boy. My rival decides to catch some hands in the middle of a research center, and I fight him again on Route 22 after taking out the trainers in Viridian Forest. I'm going to be facing off against most optional trainers along the way to make sure that my Squirtle has a decent level for the Elite Four. I don't heal for the Light Years Junior trainer, nor do I for Brock, since his Pokemon take 4 times damage from Water Gun and go down in a hit each. My first gym's complete, I get the Boulder Badge, Squirtle glows for some reason, a man saves my life, I make my way through Mount Moon and pick up the Dome Fossil. Just outside, I talk to this guy and teach Mega Punch over Tackle, and then make the decision to face Misty ahead of Rival 2. Her Staryu outspeeds me and hits a weak Water Pulse that thankfully doesn't confuse. I take it out in a single hit with Bite, and then continue spamming the move against her Starmie until it eventually faints. The second gym is complete, I get the Cascade Badge, and more importantly, the TM for Water Pulse, which I teach right away over Water Gun for an increased 20 base power and the chance to confuse. My rival shows up just ahead of Nugget Bridge and sends out his Pidgeotto. It hits me with a quick attack, I retaliate with a Water Pulse, and then my rival switches out to Bulbasaur. It takes a weak Water Pulse intended for Pidgeotto before I switch to Mega Punch, and then Bite for increased accuracy. I do get hit with Leech Seed, but very thankfully Bulbasaur chooses not to use Vine Whip at all. I take Pidgeotto out with another Water Pulse and then make quick work of his Rattata and Abra. By the end of the fight, my health is fairly low, which has me worried for the next part of the game after the rival's Bulbasaur evolves. The trainers on Nugget Bridge don't pose much of a threat, and I'm able to grab the Secret Power TM on the following route. I teach it over Mega Punch right away for increased accuracy as well as the chances to paralyze and flinch. I rescue a furry, and then accept tickets to a millionaire boat party. I wander into a room and immediately take a nap, grab the rest TM, and square up against Rival 3. He leads with his Pidgeotto again, which is able to hit me with a quick attack right away. I retaliate with a Water Pulse, and then once again he switches to his starter. I hit it with the Secret Power twice, avoiding any damage from the Grass-type Pokemon. Pidgeotto comes back out, I take it out with another Water Pulse, and my rival sends out Raticate. It survives a Water Pulse, but I'm able to take it out with a second hit with Bite, and then his Kadabra is pretty frail, and I'm able to take it out with a physical Secret Power. I rub an old guy's back and get the Cut HM, I talk to another old guy, and I wander through Rock Tunnel in the dark. I get the Return TM just south of Lavender Town, give the guards the tea, and talk to the coin case guy, and spend all of my money so that I can get the Ice Beam TM. I make my way through the Rocket Hideout under the casino, fight Giovanni, take out his Onix and Rhyhorn with a Water Pulse each, and eventually wear out his Kangaskhan. While we're still sitting on a couch together, he tells me that he hopes we meet again, and I grab the Sylph Scope. I return to Lavender Town and enter the Pokemon Tower, where I find Rival 4. This fight is pretty unremarkable in most playthroughs, but this is the first time that the rival has Gyarados on his team. This thing is going to be a nightmare for us down the road. It resists Stab Water attacks, it has Intimidate to cut down Squirtle's physical attack stat, and we're not able to deal super effective damage against it in any way. I'm over 20 levels higher than the Pokemon, and it still takes 4 hits to knock out at this point. Luckily, the Growlithe and following Kadabra don't put up too much of a fight, and we're able to take the rival out here, but I hope it shows why I've chosen to do so much optional training up until this point. I still have Bite on my moveset, so I'm able to take out all of the channelers in the tower pretty quickly. I grab the Cleanse Tag, I face off against the ghost of Cubone's mother and lay it to rest with 2 Water Pulses, and take out the rockets at the top of the tower. I find Mr. Fuji, return to Lavender Town, and get the Poké-Flute. I fight my way through the fighting dojo and then reject both Pokemon for laughs, and then decide it's probably time to face off against Lieutenant Surge. While I could have attempted this fight right after the SSN using the Dig TM, I wasn't sure if I would need this later on and figured it was safer to come back after opening up Saffron City. The good news is, now that I've spent so much time running around, I'll be able to fly through the rest of the game. I forgot Fly. I also forgot the bicycle and have to run back to Cerulean City to pick this up so that I can go down Cycling Road to get to Fuchsia City. Just outside of Celadon, I remember to pick up the Fly HM and teach it to my Pidgey before getting caught in a rare double battle. My Pidgey doesn't contribute anything to this, but still steals 6 levels. I go to the Snorlax just to the west of Celadon, play the Poke Flute to wake it up, and tell it it's time to go home. The bear returns to the mountains, and I'm able to access Cycling Road. At the bottom of the hill, I fight this guy who has 5 poison types and is going to serve as a bit of a litmus test ahead of Koga so that I can test out damage ranges. I head into the Safari Zone and find a rare Kangaskhan. I throw a Hail Mary that ultimately doesn't work, and then I grab the Gold Teeth, the Surf HM, return the Gold Teeth to the Warden in Fuchsia City, and get the Strength HM. Just outside of the Fuchsia Gym, I teach Squirtle Surf in the place of Water Pulse and take on the Poison Gym leader. I was particularly worried going into this fight in a solo challenge because Poison can be incredibly difficult to deal with when you can't switch out. Thankfully, his Muck just uses Acid Armor instead of Minimize or Toxic and goes down quickly. Each of his coughings goes down after a single hit from Surf, and his wheezing is a 2-shot. I do get poisoned after being hit by Sludge, but it's much too late to have an impact. I get the Soul Badge, fly to Pallet Town, and then surf south to Cinnabar Island. This is my least favorite part of the game, so I go through it quickly, picking up the Blizzard TM along the way, and then do the hottest thing possible by fighting every single trainer in Blaine's gym rather than answer a single question. The battle with Blaine begins, and I start to mash the A button over and over again, eliminating each one of his Pokemon with a single use of Surf. I get the Volcano Badge and the Overheat TM, which is not going to be useful today. Outside of the Cinnabar Gym, I run into Bill, who invites me on a boat that's actually going somewhere, and I tell him that I do not want to be alone with him. I fly to Celadon City and teach Ice Beam in the place of Secret Power, and then take on Erica's gym. I did forget to record this part, but rest assured, it was Ice Beam after Ice Beam after Ice Beam. After defeating her, I run to Saffron City and challenge Sabrina. While I still have Bite on my moveset, Surf actually does more damage, including Stab, than the super effective Bite would, so I spam this through most of her Pokemon. Her Kadabra and Mr. Mime go down without Squirtle taking any damage, and she sends out her Venomoth. I switch to Ice Beam for super effective damage that doesn't calculate for some reason, and then she's allowed to use a Hyper Potion. I switch back to Surf and take it out in one hit, and then proceed to take out the Alakazam. She is able to land one Psychic before the battle ends, and it takes out over half of Squirtle's health. This is something I'll need to keep in mind for the rival fights moving forward. But with that, I have the Marsh Badge in hand, I dig out of the gym and head back to Viridian City for the final gym challenge. I'm not sure why Game Freak chose to have each Giovanni encounter feel less and less impactful. He loses the Kangaskhan after the Game Corner basement, and he doesn't feel all that much stronger from Sylph to the 8th gym. His Rhyhorn falls to a 4-time super effective Ice Beam. His Doug Trio, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking each fall after a single hit from Surf, and I switch back to Ice Beam for style points on the final Rhyhorn. With that, I've collected all 8 gym badges in an Earthquake TM I can't use, and I head for Victory Road. My rival challenges me once again. I've leveled up a bit here in hopes of one-shotting his Pidgeot to avoid a Sand Attack, but I just miss the range. Luckily, the bird only goes for Wing Attack, and I'm able to take it out the next turn. He sends out his Venusaur next, and I get a lucky freeze on Ice Beam. Venusaur doesn't defrost, so I'm able to knock it out for free the following turn. He sends out Rhyhorn next, and I hit it with a 4-time super effective Surf for the one-shot. At this point, my rival sends out his Gyarados, which is the Pokemon I am the most fearful of. Even 30 levels above, Ice Beam does a little under half, the Sea Snake uses Rain Dance for some reason, and I'm able to take it out the next turn with a rain-boosted Surf. The Growlithe that follows is a one-shot, and his Alakazam comes out last. Since it outspeeds, it's able to set up Calm Mind and survive a rain-boosted Surf. It then uses Disable, meaning I miss a turn, but eventually I am able to knock the Psychic Pokemon out and win the battle. I make my way through Victory Road and set my fly point to the Indigo Plateau, and then fly back to Fuchsia City where I talk to the move deleter and get rid of Surf. While this water move is incredibly powerful, I'm not going to need it for the beginning of the Elite Four, and I'm not going to be able to teach another move over it. I also walk to the middle of Fuchsia City where I'm able to talk to a bug catcher outside of a Kangaskhan exhibit who teaches me Substitute. I fly back to the Pokemon League, deposit all of my HM friends, and prepare to face the Elite Four. Using a few TMs I picked up along the way, I teach Squirtle Toxic in the place of Bite, and I teach the rest TM in the place of Ice Beam. I did pick up a second Ice Beam TM from the Celadon Game Corner, which will become useful later in the Elite Four. I also use a PB up on Toxic to make sure I have a few more uses since it's not 100% accurate. My strategy against Lorelei is a little unconventional, but it's the best I could come up with. Since most of her Pokemon have the water typing, I can't hit any of them too hard, so what I'm going to do is use Toxic on each one of her Pokemon, use Withdraw as I need to stall out a few turns, Substitute to mitigate damage, and Rest anytime my health gets too low. This is definitely the longest fight in the game, but eventually I am able to take each of her Pokemon down to 0 and advance to the next room. Bruno turns out to be a trickier trainer than I thought at the start of this run, and is the reason why I've kept Withdraw on my moveset for so long. Both of the Hitmons have incredibly high special defense. Hitmonchan hits with Sky Uppercut, Hitmonlee with High Jump Kick, and Machamp with Cross Chop, all doing massive damage. So what I decide to do is establish Toxic on the Onix, use Withdraw 6 times to get my defense as high as it will go, use Substitute to mitigate more incoming damage, and Rest as needed to make sure that my health is as full as possible. Eventually, Toxic racks up on each of his Pokemon, and I am able to make it through to the next room. Before starting the next fight, I teach Squirtle Surf in the place of Toxic, and my second Ice Beam TM in the place of Withdraw. I will not need these moves going forward. Agatha turns out to be the most straightforward of all of the Elite Four. I set up Substitute right away to make sure that her lead Gengar cannot confuse me, and begin using Surf and Ice Beam to take each of her following Pokemon out. Her second Gengar is able to break my Substitute, but I'm able to knock it and her final Haunter out without taking any more damage. I end this fight at level 80 and decide to use the 7 rare candies I've collected along the way ahead of Lance. After all, he does start with a Gyarados. I don't make any moveset changes after the Agatha fight and start off by establishing a substitute against Lance's Gyarados. This is because Dragon Rage will always do 40 damage, and since I have over 160 hit points, it will take 2 hits to knock my substitute out. I whittled the Gyarados down with a combination of Surf and Ice Beam. Both of the following Dragonairs are a one-hit with Ice Beam, as is the Dragonite that takes 4 times damage from the move. All that's left is his Aerodactyl. The Fossil outspeeds and hits me with a wing attack that takes about a quarter of my health away, and I retaliate with a stab super effective Surf for the one shot. To prepare for the champion battle, I turn on battle animations, heal up, and teach Blizzard in the place of Substitute. The worst thing that Pidgeot can do is hit me with Sand Attack. Luckily, it doesn't go for this after I miss a Blizzard. I freeze it with my second hit, and then take it out over 2 turns using Ice Beam and Surf. The rival sends out his Venusaur second. I go for Ice Beam, wanting its Citrus Berry to activate, but not doing so much damage that it will be in healing range. I use a stronger Blizzard on the second turn to knock it out. He sends out his Alakazam third, which outspeeds and immediately hits me with a very powerful Psychic. I'm not able to one-shot it, but I do knock it out on the second turn with another Surf. I'm at incredibly low health, but I know that I'll outspeed the following Rhydon and one-shot it with a Surf. Gyarados comes out, and I figure this is my best chance to heal. I used Rest, getting my health back up to full, and I wait for the Sea Snake to use Thrash and confuse itself. Gyarados continues to wear my health down, and I use Rest whenever I get too low. Eventually, I'm waiting for the perfect luck of it hitting itself in confusion on the turn that I wake up. This is a bit risky, but eventually pays off. I hit with a strong Blizzard that brings it to low HP, and eventually knock it out with a Surf. Last out is my rival's Arcanine with extreme speed. A crit would surely knock me out, and I hold my breath as it goes for the move. I manage to survive with 30 hit points and retaliate with a one-hit Surf, beating my rival and winning the game. I cannot believe how fun and challenging it was to play this game with just a Squirtle, which starts glowing again for some reason. I was forced to think about movesets and strategies that I've never used before. Notably, Substitute and Rest ended up making a huge impact on this run. With that, I'm in the Hall of Fame and thinking about what my next run might be. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching.